Let's now look at safety of athletes and runners in particular. Let's now welcome Physiotherapist Tondani Mutshelwa. Tondani, of course, we're looking at all aspects of having runners fit for the Comrades Marathon. It is called an ultra marathon. Just give us your take then in terms of before one embarks on such a marathon, what are some of the key things that they need to look out for, particularly as it relates to their safety?
Yes, good day. Thank you for having me today. My name is Tondani, as you heard. So when it comes to the basics of one having to partake into a marathon or a journey of running, first thing of them all has to be the basic. Have medical screening. Get checked. With the medical screening, it constitutes of a couple of things. You can have the looks of your blood pressure is being assessed. You can have the case of having to be assessed in terms of your endurances, which is done by the physiotherapist. On the endurance, that is where we look at issues like the pace, issues like the kind of surfaces that one is going to be running at. And then the second issue of them all that one needs to be aware of, it's the nutritional value, what to eat, when, and how. And then with the nutritional value, we need to also add the element of hydration. Make sure that as a runner, you have those things in check. And then prior to all of those things, you have the training purposes. On the training purposes, that is where in like any part, like any person, more like a car, you need to get prepared, get yourself checked, get yourself well prepared for such an activity. So on the training purposes, that is where in as a physiotherapist, that is where in we will assist with the preparations. On the preparations, we look at issues of the running techniques, and then on the running techniques, we also look at the running shoes. Running shoes also, we can also add many more factors. But I do believe that if with your screening, you are quite checked, with your hydration, everything is intact, and then when it comes to the training purposes, you are well alert, you should be good to go. Yeah.
Now, of course, there's no link to this with the missing female Comrades runner who had gone missing after she crossed the finish line. We understand, of course, she was found in a critical condition and has now been taken to hospital. But following a marathon such as the Comrades, I mean, what are some of the key things that runners need to do post that kind of marathon, particularly given the fact that their bodies have gone through, I would imagine, so much pressure and stress? What should one do minutes after having run that race?
We definitely have to start on the recovery mode. So on the recovery mode, that is wherein we have many other things you can check out on. First of them being to be assessed or to be evaluated by a medical profession. It can be a physiotherapist, it can be a nurse, or it can be a doctor. But to prevent such things wherein runners get to be missing, there are many other elements that needs to be placed in hand. Like for example, if a person is going to be taking part of the race, they need to have devices in check which are going to be able to assist them in terms of the real-time tracking, and then also try and alert other people like your traffic officers and also your SAPs that there will be this kind of people running so that we can avoid that. But when a person has completed such a journey, we need to go into the recovery mode wherein we will be looking at the basic of how a person performed or how the person needs to be assisted. Wherein we will use as a physio's perspective, that is wherein we will have more techniques like your massage, and then I will be taking a client back into the recovery booth wherein we'll be working more on having to assist the muscles to recover from the fatigueness and having to work more on pain management modalities.
Yeah, and I mean, just in terms of going into a race, I would imagine that training is very important. Speak to us about the importance of incorporating physiotherapy as well as training, to just make sure that your body can actually sustain, because we hear a lot of times, people speaking about injury and how important it is to make sure that you incorporate training that does not necessarily exhaust your body.
First of all, before a person can say I'm going to be going into a race, you need to get prepared. You need to be trained. So on training, there are a couple of things that we look into. First of all, being the weight factor. Second of all, being the endurance. And then the endurance, that is wherein we're going to look into the other factors like your pace, and then the fitness, the physical well-being. So as a physiotherapist, that is wherein I come in place to make sure that a person who's going to be taking place into such an activity is quite fit and active. Because if ever, like for example, if I'm going to be taking a part of the race or a marathon wherein I'll be completing, for example, 80 kilometers, but in reality, I've never even done 5 kilometers, that is definitely going to be up for failure. So as a physio, we assist in terms of those assessments to see how far and how well a person is prepared for that. So we can incorporate the pre-assessment prior to the activity that is going to be happening, like a marathon, all the way to an activity that is going to be happening. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tondani, for your time and, of course, just that analysis. Physiotherapist Tondani Mutshelwa there for us, of course, speaking around the Comrades Marathon. Importantly, of course, you would have seen that Tete Dijane won the men's Comrades Marathon, as well as Gerda Steyn, named as the Queen of Hearts there, winning her Comrades Marathon for the 4th time.